It is the 27th of the 7th, 2013. This is your Radioactive Reality. I'm going to start tonight off on Fukushima Diary. They've got an editorial, Insight. Data doesn't show Tepco dumping contaminated water to the sea, but it's worse than that. Last week, Tepco finally admitted that contaminated groundwater is flowing into the sea. Looking around the media coverage, I noticed there's a huge misunderstanding about the issue. Here, I want to correct it. One, the data don't suggest they're dumping, but it's worse than that. As we know, Tepco is a liar. The government wants to conceal the fact. But the sample to have made them confess was groundwater pumped from borings. If they dumped retained contaminated water, it would have been to the sea, not to the ground. But the sample is groundwater, and the radiation level is way higher than the seawater. Whether Tepco is secretly dumping contaminated water to the sea or not, this evidence shows that contamination is traveling from the ground to the sea. Actually, their data is showing seawater comes up from the ground when the seawater level is higher, and the groundwater comes down when the seawater level is lower. The contamination is moving between the coastal area of the plant and the sea. This is worse than dumping. We could try to stop them dumping in legal means, but we couldn't stop the contamination flowing to the sea because of the extremely long coastal line. 2. The contamination source is not identified. The other reason why dumping is better is because the source of contamination is not clear. Tepco was suspecting it might be from the past leakage. Now they are starting to suspect the highly contaminated water retained in the facility called trench is leaking to underground. This is how they have two hypotheses at once. It might be directly from the crippled reactors actually. It would be quite easy to identify the source of the contamination. They only need to color the coolant water. If they find seawater colored as well, the contamination is transiting directly from the coolant water. However, they don't do it, which suggests something is pretty clear. Over to E.l.e. news. Extremely contaminated water is seeping into the Pacific Ocean from under Fukushima Reactor No. 2 turbine building. Tepco, we believe it's staying in the trench, and we all believe what Tepco says, don't we? Extreme contamination found at Fukushima plant. Cesium 134 and 137, over 7 billion becquerels per liter. And you got to remember, this is the well they drilled and not just surface water. Millions of times above the limit Tepco's trying to stop the leak into the ocean. Probably from melted reactor cores. Probably. And another story, officials, gas is likely leaking from contaminated containment vessel of Fukushima Reactor No. 3. Quote, it was observed as steam. I'll provide a link to a video of Fukushima, and if you go to 11 minutes on this video, you will see the actual steam event take place. You notice that they changed the camera lens so to kind of prevent you from seeing the extent of the steam or gas release that they had on Fukushima Daiichi No. 3. The insanity continues. Crude oil Sheen in the water by blowout in the Gulf of Mexico. The Sheen reported each day since the incident began, and they first estimated at 7,000 gallons a day. Now they're estimating about 4 barrels an hour are leaking out of this oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico. And of course, we know those numbers are always low. And it's a light sheen. They're saying it's dissipating. And the dead zone is actually growing. That's about all new we have today. Not a lot really going on, which is good news. And until I find out something else, enjoy what you can. Thanks, everybody.